So I'm just going to show you guys some stuff about where, I guess where I started and coming up to where things are now. So it's just sort of just talking about, I guess, different ideas about where you make work from and having that be okay. When I got to undergrad, I was really thinking I was going to be a marine biologist. I thought I was going to be Jacques Cousteau out with the whales and the seals and stuff. And so the first semester I was there, I was taking all these biology classes, which was basically pre-med classes. So I was surrounded by all these people that wanted to be doctors. And so the second semester, I was still doing that, but then I took this photography course. And my photo teacher wasn't a very big guy, and the projections were always up a little higher, so he would end up jumping and pointing to things in the image. So for this, how many of you guys know this image? Yeah? Okay. So Cartier-Bresson, and I'd never heard of any of this stuff. I was just taking this class because I thought it'd be fun. And he jumped and didn't say anything. He jumped and pointed here. And we're like, okay, yeah, I got it. I got the guy, the reflection. That's pretty great. And then he gave us a couple of minutes, and then he jumped and he pointed there. The jumping, the reflection of the jumping, oh my God! And that just kind of blew me away, that photography could be this other thing besides kitties and sunsets. And so this idea, the decisive moment for me at that time, freshman year, was amazing. This idea that there's these moments where intellectual, geographic, spiritual ideas all kind of coalesce in these little moments of coalescence. And that was sort of a big deal for me, and it really kind of changed my life. So after that, I just ended up getting at that point I realized if I just took one biology class every semester, I could still slink by with a biology major. But then everything else I took was art, all the art classes. And so I got, one in studio art, one in baking. I was really more interested in the stories behind the photographs and the stories in making the photographs. And so I really kind of took a turn into really kind of heavy-duty narrative. And I really feel like most of my work now is really rooted in storytelling in all kinds of different ways, whether it's performance, whether it's video, combination of those two. Even if things are really abstract, they still feel for me like it's a way. I mean, I don't know how you guys are, but even if I'm looking at something really abstract, I end up trying to tell a story with the abstraction or try to feel it with that. And I'm kind of shifting out of a little bit now and letting things just sit in an abstraction sort of world, but I really like stories. So this first piece that I did at Boulder was I'll just go through it. But I made a bunch of photo montages, like printed. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 photographs that I printed on canvas, and I was going through a lot of guilt at the time, and so 3 of the figures were Greek mythical creatures with my girlfriend's head. So it was like mermaid, sphinx, and siren. And then I made 3 with my head or my body, and that was Minotaur, Satyr, and Centaur. This is on. Didn't have a studio, so I ended up doing a lot of. I got some photo darkroom equipment at a flea market, and so when those guys weren't home, I would black out the bathroom, and I would just print like contact prints. So these are just contacts, like 35mm contacts, and I would just print in the bathroom. And then in my bedroom, I had a little desk, and I was collecting big chunks of wood, like this, just on the street and on the beach. And then I was also collecting at flea markets and estate sales, like old photographs. So they felt like photographs of family albums that had been stripped of their context. Like, they just, you know that they're family, but you don't know who they mean anything to. So really, I just wanted to make a new family album where I was choosing the stories, I was making the stories, I was making the family. So I was writing a lot, and then what I was doing is like those, those pens that you would burn things in camp. Does this ring a bell to you guys? Okay, so I was writing these things. I'd write it, in a journal, and then I would burn them into the wood. So this is all like with a wood burning pen. Together like this, into like an accordion book, and then hung them with chains and stretched it out. It's about 25 feet long. And then there's a video monitor here and another one on the other end, and that had like a time thing going, so I'd go down to the beach and get there before dawn and videotape, kind of like do a sort of a time lapse where I'd be shooting every 5 minutes all day until the sun went down, and then I'd have these sort of like weird little dream sequences that would just kind of go back and forth. A lot of sand, and there was a big wall of garbage that I made from collecting garbage on the beach. This is a bookmark that I made for a show, so dropping the bookmarks off at bookstores, and really kind of thinking that, trying to make a way where the marketing for the show just becomes part of the show, where it's not really it's not a dirty word, where it becomes kind of a fun thing to do. This is a show that was, a couple of years ago. What else? Oh, okay. This is again, I guess, talking about process a little bit. I had a dream that our hockey team, everybody on the team except me, was a golden retriever, and we were really, really good. So this is me in high school, and this. So, I think dreams and images can really feed a lot of things, and you don't really know where they're going to lead at first. So sometimes I've had moments in my life where I do these things of setting the alarm clock for 2:30, 3 in the morning, and then as soon as you wake up, you just start writing really fast, whatever's in your head, and just kind of really just kind of keeping this journal going, so you're not really judging what's going in it, and then maybe later on looking back and you start finding connections that are that you've got in that journal, and then they end up kind of coming out later. My project, The Unreliable Bestiary. It's inspired by the literary concept of the unreliable narrator in the medieval bestiary, which gave every living thing a spiritual purpose. The project will be an arc of stories about animals, our relationships with them, and the worlds they inhabit. In addition to a set of books and a website, the Unreliable Bestiary will present a performance for each letter of the alphabet, the letter representing a particular animal or habitat or idea. The website will evolve with the project, adapting to new technologies and social networks. The books will document and transform the multiple performances, the gradual accumulation of individual volumes forming an encyclopedic, collectible bestiary, giving physical structure to the whole project. I want the project to turn people on instead of shutting them down with fear. The Unreliable Bestiary will use humor, poetics, economics, and plain old wonder to inspire people to live differently.
Thank you.
All right, thanks all.